Welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter, and I'll be your host this evening. I want to thank you for coming and joining us, and I appreciate it very much. And if you're watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than a live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunthangar Reform member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. Now, if you're not a member or if you're not logged into Stunthangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. If you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. That's Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. When you register, you must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address, or Sparky, the proprietor of Stunthangar, will not approve you. Now, if you're inclined to not come in and enjoy just watching us on YouTube, wonderful, fantastic. Please enter your questions or comments in the chat box over here, and I'll do my best to make your comments or questions a part of the show. And I understand sometimes even I can't get a word in myself, so be patient. I will ask our illustrious panel your question or state your comment. And by the way, you only can make comments or questions during a live stream. So like I said, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening, starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you find the Stunthangar Video Hangouts that I host, or the many building videos, Saturday at John videos, the coverage that Sparky does at the Nats or at FMC or at other contests, enjoyable and informative, please hit the thumbs up, and consider subscribing to our channel. And if you do that, please make sure to hit the notification bell and select all, so that whether myself or Sparky comes on, you'll be notified. Comments on this channel, sharing the videos, all these things, all these activities help the Stunthangar YouTube channel grow. Please consider joining Stunthangar's YouTube channel memberships by hitting the blue button below, the join button. The memberships start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. I mean, that's about the cost of going to Starbucks and getting a coffee once a month. So that's not a lot. And plus, just let you know, I'm a member myself, so I have the $4.99 come out of my own checking account. So, and I don't miss it, and I suspect you won't either. Plus, you'll be supporting. Hopefully, this is a passion or something you really enjoy immensely, and this is a way of supporting us. Another way to show your support would be right below the chat box over here. There's a super chat. It's like a big dollar sign. You hit that. It's not a subscription. You can just donate any amount you want as often as you like. Only thing is, you can only do that during a live stream. So come during the stream, which is Monday through Friday at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and make a donation then. And if it's not convenient to watch the whole show, come back and watch the replay at a more convenient time. Now, this is Sparky's YouTube channel. This is not mine. I have my own channel. I'll get to that in a minute. But if you want to get in touch with me, go there, because I don't check the comments here or check anything on Sparky's channel. Now, my channel is called Flying Control Line Stunt. Let me repeat that. That's Flying Control Line Stunt. And if you would locate the 2019 AMA National Championship video on my channel, which is a video that Sparky shot with his video camera of me flying his Junar XL. And I'll receive a notification and be able to respond to you really quickly. Now, I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. please keep the conversations family room friendly. In other words, please don't use words or do things you wouldn't say or do around your own children or grandchildren. And without any further ado, I'm going to now post a link at Stunthangar.com. Let me go there now and post the link. Got this here. Hope everybody had a good week. I'm so glad to say goodbye to the rain for a little bit here in Southern California. It has been actually the link is already posted. I actually posted the link early. Yeah, the grass is just in terrible shape. The grass is overgrown, and there's all kinds of lumpy. There must be different fescue that's on the field, and so it's not the best conditions. So I actually went out with a combat plane today. I went out with a Walkerman 2. It's a FAI airplane. I think it's a fast combat plane, and I don't remember the motor. The engine was on there. It's an SH, I believe, a 32 or 37. And I was flying that plane on 66-foot lines, islet to islet, to slow it down. Like I said, it's a fast combat plane. But I had a really good time. It was just nice to get out and fly. I think this might have been the first flying day of the year for me, which normally I start, probably day 1, January 1. So it's been difficult just waiting to get a chance to fly. I came down with a condition I call circleitis. I don't know if you guys ever experienced it. The symptoms of, you wanted to fly and can't wait to fly. And fortunately, my symptoms, I don't get agitated or anything, but it's just a longing to fly. And it's like, couldn't wait. So glad to get out there. I got out there with Carl Reed joined me today and Stuart Mossman. So we basically all of us was flying combat planes, and the grass and the terrain was fine for those planes. They had no wheels. So it's a really, and then we had beautiful weather. It was not that hot and not too windy. It was, with the exception of the terrain and the grass, it was a really good outing out there. I'm going to go to head to the what I call the control panel and see how the show is streamed. I see Stuart came in. Hey, Stuart, how you doing?
Good, Charles. You?
Doing good. Did you get the email I sent you or the information I sent you? Oh, yep. You're welcome. That was courtesy of Gary Sinclair. I'm going to check something here on the what I call the control panel. Just bear with me just a second. And here we go. I think I saw Jack Snavely is already in there already. Let's see here. Here we go. Now we're getting there. Now we're cooking with gas. And it looks like we have 12 concurrent viewers and 6 likes. Thank you very much. Now, if you have not hit the like button, please smash that. That helps the analytics of the show. That way, when people go to their home feed on their YouTube channel, they'll see this on the right side as a recommended view. That's my ultimate goal, is for everybody, when they go to their home feed, they see this as a recommended view. So Gary Sinclair says, like provided. Thank you, Gary. Jack Snavely says, hi, guys, and all else involved with the airplane stuff. And they have some airplane stickers. And then Tom Rammel said, like provided. Thank you very much, you guys, for coming in and doing the likes. I appreciate that. That's 3 for 3. Thank you very much. So now we're up to 7 likes. So we had one more person hit the like button. Please, the remaining 5 of you, please do that. It doesn't cost you anything, by the way. So it's a free thing. Just hit the like button. Won't cost you a penny. Let me just do one last thing, Stuart, then you'll have my complete attention.
Oh, that's all right. I'm not in any hurry. I got something on the go here too. So.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah, just every show I got to do these little things to get it going. And then I pretty much
I'm in early.
Off to the races. Yeah, so there we go. All right, cool. So I don't know if you heard me talking about, I went out flying today and I flew, of all things, combat planes today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
that's good.
Yeah, it was a change of pace. The terrain is really bumpy and overgrown because of all the rain. Hey, Brad Lapointe, how you doing?
Pretty good, Charles. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It looks like Gary Sinclair is making his way in here. Come on, Gary. Here we go. He's coming in. That's good. And so anyways, I was just talking about how I think it's my first time to fly this year. I can't believe it took so long. Hey, Gary, how you doing?
Good.
Thanks for coming in, Gary. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm in the Keith Trots will come in before I continue on. But hey, Keith, how you doing?
Good.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Yep.
So anyways, I went out flying today. I was just telling the guys that I actually went out with a combat plane because of all the rain. The field has puddles and it's overgrown, and we must have a variety of fescue. So some parts of it was lumpy, and it just was questionable at best to do a rollout, and maybe landing would be questionable too. So went out with a Walkerman 2 combat plane, and that was a lot of fun. I haven't flown a combat plane in a while, so it was a change of pace. So, so Stuart, have you been doing anything in your garage or shop, or been flying?
No, well, still working on that Cub. But it's getting really near the end now, so
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Get on to the Twister, but plus a couple other things.
That's cool. How about you, Brad LaPointe? Have you done any flying or working in a shop?
A little work here and there. Haven't really. I'm actually working on a shop.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to build a room down on the one end of the basement and make it cat proof. Because these guys like to munch on ribs.
They do, really. Now that's news.
Yeah.
I've had other friends and colleagues that have cats, and their cats they don't even bother with the airplanes. They walk all the way around without even touching it.
Oh, I got a couple of terrorist cats. Just I get it.
Yeah, then you need to cat proof it, especially if you have your planes out there. And some people have to children proof or grandchildren proof their planes too. So
Well, I used to have the planes hanging down in the basement. I had one on just over top of a couch down there. And I didn't pay any attention to it. And I got looking at it in the spring, had an APC prop on it. And cats had chewed the prop off. I don't know why, but they chewed the hell out of the prop.
wow. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
How about you, Keith? You been making some progress on your big job or your chiseler?
The big job, starting to get some of the final details done, work to get getting set up to put a canopy on it. And the fillets should go on tonight and be ready for starting to paint here in another day or two. Paint and cover.
Wow. Now, what do you make your fillets out of?
That stuff from Aircraft Spruce, what's it called?
Superfill?
Yeah.
How do you like it?
Oh, I think it's great. It's strong. It's easy to manage. I have those little ball bearing things that you can make any size you want.
Yeah.
And I use, let's see, I've used alcohol before. You can use water, I guess, but alcohol, and I've used a reducer to kind of smooth things out with. And if it's done right, you put those things on and they're all already the right size and shape and everything. All you have to do is sand them down a little bit to get the shine off of it so paint will stick to it.
Oh, very nice. I have not used Superfill yet for fillets. I've used it for other things, but not fillets. So, yeah, I like the product. I used to, matter of fact, Bob Brooks had taught me how to use micro balloons with finishing resin.
Yeah.
And a lot of his planes, he's a pretty good craftsman, and his fillets are beautiful, and he used that. And that's how I first learned how to make fillets.
Well, you can, with that, using micro balloons, you can, depend on how much the ratio between epoxy and the balloons, why you can make them really light, or you can and sacrifice a little bit of strength, or you can make them really strong and pick up a little bit more weight for it. But it's flexible that way. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Let me welcome Steve Maganelli. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing well. I've been meaning to get on one of these things. I got a couple of neat things to show you guys. So
Oh, that'd be great.
get a
That'd
good
be
audio.
that'd be fantastic. Yeah, we'll probably be blowing up a little bit more since it's Friday night. If you want to hang on and you have a bigger audience. Not to mention we have 13 concurrent viewers right now and 12 likes. Thank you very much, people, for hitting the like button. Appreciate that. And welcome, John Miller. How you doing? Oh, you're muted, John. And since I know your lips are moving. I know you was telling the truth, so that's pretty cool.
There you go.
You're sure about that?
Well, that's my expectation.
Yeah, no, I've been working on the computer all day with the set of plans, so making strides.
Which model's this?
The update of this one right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you showed the what you had in CAD last time, that plane is looking really nice. I like the little things you did to it. Looks good.
I changed the airfoil today. I went to an Epler 167 airfoil. I like the entry on it, and it's a 18% airfoil, but it doesn't look like it. It's a nice looking airfoil.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, a little later I'll show it if you want.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see it again. And
Okay.
it looks like Howard Rush is joining us soon. Here we go. Hey, Howard, thanks for coming in.
I think Howard likes his selling airfoil.
Is that right, Howard?
Huh?
Do you have a airfoil preference?
For what?
For stunt.
For stunt.
I don't know. I've been using the impact airfoil.
And which one's that? Do you know what that airfoil is, John?
No,
Okay.
I think that's Paul Walker's left tennis shoe.
Maybe.
Schumann size 12, good airfoil.
Yes,
Yeah.
there we go. Yeah.
I've used X-foil and it thinks it's good. X-foil likes it.
Oh, that's great. So his left tennis shoe is a good portender of the future.
I remember Sparky did a build where he just started with one of his shoes. He just did a sole and used that to create the airfoil. And I don't know how well the plane flew, but I couldn't tell any difference from that airfoil from many other airfoils.
Yeah. Well, some say that the only thing that our Reynolds number that makes any difference is the entry. Is that right, Howard?
No.
No?
No.
I'm always wrong.
Here. French curve. This is a good airfoil as any.
There
Yeah.
you go. Be surprised how many planes have got a French curve airfoil.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve
Yeah.
McNally, it's been a while since you've been in here. Do you mind kind of just telling us what you do again or what you did do? I know are you retired or not?
Yeah, I'm a retired aerospace systems engineer, and I worked on Navy airplanes, which fly at a way higher Reynolds number. But I have definitely studied some of this stuff, and airfoils do make a difference. I mean, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what stunt does, because it's you guys. The way the plane is sits at various attitudes and azimuth, it just makes it just odd. And I don't even I've not quite figured it out. I'm kind of a retread. I've flown control line twice in the last 47 years. And before that, it'd been a gap of 47 years I've flown control line at all. And so now that I'm a retired engineer, so I should know everything, I'm still kind of now I'm kind of in the dark about why some of these, like why the line tension goes away when you get it at a high azimuth and stuff like that. But maybe while I have the floor, I'll show you some of the neat two things
All right.
raised recently.
Let me make
so-
it big here, just 1 second. That way we all can see it in our audience
Okay.
too.
All right, so what do you think? So check this out. This comes from a place called Dumbo RC, and it's a car controller.
Yeah.
Let me show you what I made out of it when I opened the box.
Okay. I know at the Nats, Mike Lonke and Tom Rammel were flying the plane. And I think I'm not sure who had similar pistols at the grip, but they were controlling the speed with that.
Well, here it is. I control the speed here, and I control the elevator here. And the reason I chose to make it this weird sweep angle is because it's kind of a natural position for your hands.
Right.
I basically took my hand and I kind of went against the wall and said, that's about the right angle.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I made these two lengths different. So that the lines can be the same length, but these two links are different lengths, and they're made out of RC 440 ball links. And this piece of aluminum integrates into the handle pretty well, and it's captured by 2 or 3 of the screws on each side. And I think it'll survive a decent pull test. And then this controls the throttle. So I took what it usually would do is it would start in midstream and go forward and backwards. Well, I don't think I need the backwards for flying airplanes. So I basically redid the throttle thing, and I cut away some, so now the throttle only goes one direction. So my intention is to, it's on, undo. Okay, gone. So my intent, I haven't flown this thing yet. I'm eager to, but as Charles knows, I first flew I'm an electric guy. I don't touch the gas engines anymore. I hate those things. So I was always into the electric. So I was wearing the RC Transit around my neck so I could control the throttle that way. So this way now I'm back to one hand, one throttle, and I can do my touch and goes, and I can adjust the throttle in the middle of a loop, in the middle of an outside loop, and hopefully make something interesting. And it wasn't very hard to do. And
I think that's going to be interesting. I look forward to seeing it. Maybe
you will.
we can get out there hopefully soon.
$30, so it's not like it's an expensive thing to try. And I got rid of the wheel and threw it away, so I'm only using one channel. But actually, this thing has 6 channels, and it has a couple of up here that could be like landing gear or something for you. And this one over here this one here on the side is 3 position. This could be I don't know, retracts or flaps, 3-position flaps. It's just too bad. It's meant to be gripped by a right-handed person in the left hand. So that way it's meant to be gripped like this, so that you have control over the knob here.
Right.
Unfortunately, when you use it right-handed, you sort of cover up a couple of the extra channels, but there's one up here that are proportional. There's one up here, and then inside here is some settings for gain and for both the throttle and the thing I don't have anymore, the control wheel. So I basically replaced that with a pot, so I could, just in case. But it turns out probably one of the fallacies is that this thing here is meant to be in the middle. So when you turn off the transmitter, it goes to half power, because that's what a airplane speed control thinks is going to be when it's running. It's like half throttle, so you got to be careful not to lose range. So I haven't tried it yet, but I'm itching to anyway.
Well, good. That means we'll be flying soon.
Yep. And my second thing is, I'll get out of the way here.
Sure.
Can we
Who
see
else?
the ball close?
What is that, Howard?
I'm interested in the ball length that you have.
Huh?
The ball length that goes to your lines.
It's a Dubro 440 clevis for RC. Now check this out.
Oh, yeah. Can you show it to us close up?
He means the ball link.
length.
He wants to see the ball link.
The ball
Yeah.
link?
That thing.
Okay, it's not a ball link. It's actually it's a Dubro 440 clevis for like quarter scale RC.
Oh. Okay.
So basically moves in this plane. I'm not sure that it was just something I could come up with, that I needed to even out the lengths of these 2 arms. So I just came up with another link. I mean, and if I like it, I'll remake the aluminum piece so that it kind of, it sticks out here and it cancels out the difference. I could maybe use the the control line things directly to there.
It looks smooth.
How
Well,
much does the handle weigh?
a bunch. I mean, it probably
Yeah.
weighs,
You might get tired of.
yeah, it would probably weigh, well, it's got four AAA batteries in it.
Oh, that's not much, but
So I
Yeah.
figured, I'm a computer guy too, and I figured if it works out, I could probably make one of these that would weigh not too much more than your standard control handle, because for instance, the range only has to be 60 feet, so it doesn't need to be a very powerful transmitter, and it could be a much simpler one if we're only talking about one channel. So this is easy to do and cheap, and if I like the concept, I'll try to make it more fancy so that be more practical. But to me, I've done touch and goes, and you can pick your landings, you can make it land where you want to by throttling down when you want to instead of when the thing runs out of gas. It's like, geez. So it's kind of good for us old lazy guys that carrying around the control lines has been something that we don't do in RC. You just land the plane, tax it up to your feet, and put it in the pits and go fly again. You don't have to have somebody go grab the handle and carry the whole damn thing back to the pits.
yeah.
True. True.
Okay, here's fun thing number 2. This is
Tiger shark.
Tiger Shark.
Tiger shark.
So this kit I bought around Christmas time from a woman named Lucy. I think she's the granddaughter of Victor Stanzel.
Oh,
And she's still in Schlumberg, Texas, and she had 300 of these kits. And this is not a replica. This is an original box that's been sitting around since the late 1940s. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, let me show you one little piece inside that I thought was pretty funny.
All righty. That's a monoline plane. Is that right, Steve?
Yes, it is. But so, there's no dates on it, but one thing I thought was pretty funny was it came with this. So there's 2 actual tubes, and if you pull, and this one says it is cement,
All right.
but look what's actually inside of it. So all the solvent has evaporated out of this. That's why I think this thing has literally has been sitting around for 75 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's so that was the cement, and here's the dope. Yeah, here's the dope. It says dope, and look what's inside of it.
Well, there's dope in there, yeah.
Just a
Dry.
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. Probably take a lot of butyrate to dissolve that stuff.
Well, I wouldn't touch it. To me, this is an antique, and it's not a replica. It's an original, and you can. And she said she had 300 of these things, and they were only $60. So, to me, I think all you guys would buy 1 or 2. Who
That's
already
not
has
bad.
them. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a piece of history that you're not going to buy forever, and $60 is a good deal for a piece.
It is. I agree.
So
now right behind you. That's the plane I saw you fly last time, right?
yeah.
You mind showing everybody the plane, because it's kind of neat how you have it set up.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I don't know how neat it is. I wish I could
That's
say
doing
I
good.
built it. It's a not a nose, and it's a Brodak Zero, one of the profile series, and I fit it with a motor that was just one I had in my junk drawer. I think it's a new motors. It's a 1905 2Y, and it flies on 4S 2650s. And I use a Castle Ice 50 controller, and my finger is covering the receiver. This is the receiver that talks to this controller now. So
Right.
they're going to go together next time I fly them and see what happens. And honestly, like I said, this was my first control line plane in 47 years. So I don't know. I don't remember how the other one flew, but this one stays cleaner. I mean, I've done inside loops. I haven't tried an outside loop yet, and I've tried some kind of square loops, and I've kind of sort of learned how the line tension comes and goes when you goose the throttle. And I guess I'm relearning things you guys already know, but to me, it's kind of new. And it's been fun. It's been a real pleasure getting to know the control line guys and how friendly they are. And I was telling Charles, I think I got enough money in my life. All I need more of is friends. That's kind of it. I don't need any more money. I don't need any more food.
That's a good place to be. And you can have lots of friends here.
Yep. So anyway, like I said, I think the handle is, I think it could be pretty cool, and it could be made. I could use way smaller, lithium batteries, and I could probably make the whole thing a whole lot smaller if I, did some mold work with what do you call it, 3D printing, and come up with a much simpler, smaller RF module. I mean, I know I have some RF modules that are like this big, and
Yeah.
they would do enough to control one channel, and then the receiver part would be the same thing. It'd be about the size of a dime, only weigh a few grams, and use hardly any power. So I think there's potential for that if everybody thinks it's a neat idea. If no one else likes it, then I'll just fly it myself. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, whatever floats your boat,
We got a couple of guys hang out here that are pretty good with electronics and some programming and some Arduino and stuff like that.
yeah, Arduino or PIC or something. I'm actually programming just PIC processors. I don't like Arduino because it's kind of like C, but not really.
Yeah, we do have
Howard,
some.
Howard is a retired Boeing engineer,
Okay.
and he flies electric.
Okay.
You want to tell about your kill loop set up there, Howard?
Oh, yeah. I have a different way of picking where I land.
How's that?
Well, I've got a gyro in the airplane, so if I do a loop downwind, it runs a predetermined amount of time, and then it'll land.
Okay.
It works.
Well, if you believe this, that receiver actually has a rate gyro in it for the elevator command. So the way I have the receiver oriented, it would actually function as a rate gyro for elevator if I wanted to. But I was thinking about maybe trying to turn this into maybe a bell crank right here, so one line would control it maybe, but I don't know what would happen there. Maybe something weird.
Let me welcome Mark Wise. Thank you, Mark, for coming in. Appreciate it.
Good seeing all of you.
And Carl Reed. Thank you, Carl, for coming in. And Tom Ramley said, no flying for me. No flying for me tomorrow. I will be mentoring the high school robotics team, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday.
Killer bots.
Killer bots. Have some fun, Tom. I know you will.
So you're a Boeing guy from like a Seattle area?
Yes.
Okay. I was a Naviair guy from San Diego, so
Yeah, better weather.
Better weather. I
Much
definitely
better.
enjoyed the sea. I've been through the Boeing tour at least once. It's pretty cool up there.
What? Anybody else do any flying or working in a shop they want to share?
Buddy?
It's snowing here in Denver, so
It's snowing.
It's snowing. Wow.
Snowed here all day too, off and on.
Wow.
So I guess I could say that, Lucy Stanzel asked me what I was going to do with the kit, and I said I wasn't sure, but I think if I can get a second one, I might just keep one in the package forever. And this actually would make a pretty good RC because it has a ton of dihedral, and it's got a complete center top hatch where you're supposed to put the coil in it behind the little O&R engine. So it's got a good place to stick a battery pack in it. And since it's got so much dihedral and a huge horizontal stab, it would probably fly just fine as an RC. So that's probably what I might do, because I don't even understand the control line, his monoline mechanism. There's a whole bunch of words that just don't make any sense to me. And the parts are like, kind of like form it yourself. All the thing is print with everything. It's almost it's more of a concept of the kit that we would call in a modern time.
With all the manufacturers of our specialty parts shutting down and that, we're getting back to that same thing. We're making most of the stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Stanzel's grandson, I think, doing a demonstration at the joust last year in I think it was August. It was neat. I never seen a monoline plane fly in person, and it was kind of interesting seeing that.
Well, can you explain how it worked? Because I sure don't understand. There's a picture of a guy with he's got like a fishing pole, and the plane is set to the end of the fishing pole, and I don't quite understand how that doesn't make a lot of sense at all.
There's a device that you run in and out, and it twists the line. And
I've seen that, but here, so you can see if I can find this picture.
I think what he's got is something before the monoline. They had sort of a tilt thing on a control of the wing, and that's with a fishing pole. They're able to make it go up and down. So that was before monoline.
G-line? Is that the G-line, Keith?
Yeah, I think so.
No, there's the manifest.
What was our buddy's name there in Southern California that worked on a lot of Stanzel stuff for them out there?
Kern.
Who?
Dale Kern.
Yeah. Dale Kern, yeah.
And somebody
I was
built one of those replica of that original Stanzel airplane that was, I think he's got the kit of, and it's in the museum right now. And I forget who built it. It might have been Dale or somebody else built it, and it's sitting there in the AMA museum.
Bob Parker.
That was
like that.
right. Yeah.
All right.
It all looks blank. Is there actually an image on there? Oh, there's the other side. Okay.
You see the guy with the giant fishing pole?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not what I saw at the demonstration. He actually had a short little fishing rod. If anything, it was like 12 inches or so. And it had little.
Well, it's not even that. It's a twisted flat piece of metal, so it's twisted.
Okay.
You've got a thimble in the other hand, and as you slide it, it twists the line one way or the other way. Inside the wing, the one line goes into the wing, and there's a device in there. It's kind of a spring on, but it twists. When that line twists, it moves, and as it rotates, it causes rotates another. Anyway, it causes the elevator to go up or down, depending on which way you pull that thimble. Now, what you've got there on that plan is called a G-line.
Yes, G-line, that's what he calls it, G-line.
And that was, you raised the tip of the fishing rod up to make it go up and down to make it go down. It didn't have a bell crank. That was before the bell crank.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You're right, he calls it G-line, that's exactly right. But, like I said, there's no pieces that would jump out at you like a bell crank. It's just all kinds of, sort of like print wood and just wire and directions.
That was the way it went in the day.
It was what?
That was the way it was in the day.
Yeah, so there's no date in any of this stuff, but I would imagine, should it be like late 40s or early 50s, or what date do you think?
It probably designed right after the war or during the war.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
That gear you were talking about on the monoline, that when the bell crank moves, is that like a worm drive?
Yeah,
it's like
a worm drive. Yeah, it's like a worm drive that drives the bell crank. They would be able to take 100 foot. Now, they didn't use real lightweight cable, or not cable, solid wire, but it wasn't real heavy either. I mean, it was just, what was it, 30,000, 60,000, something like that. Anyway, but they'd take it clear out 100 foot long. They could control it.
Wow.
What happens when you get up to mid-range is a combination of a couple of things. the plane's trying to slide into you because it's now higher,
Yeah.
and got the wind down. And you need to have a little, that's where you need to have a little more, your line a little further forward. Will help with that.
No, I think the monoline thing comes out really near the nose. It's not, it doesn't come out of the wing, it comes out by the nose. That much I could see on the plans, it's just behind the motor.
Well, that's the G line.
Yeah.
You got there.
Come here.
But the monoline comes out the wing.
Yeah, the way the control line does, like somewhere near the center of gravity, that would make more sense. Yeah.
Well, it's you figure you. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Howard. You find your mean area, MAC,
Right.
the wing, and then at that point you figure where 25% of that is. Take a line straight from the fuselage, perpendicular to the fuselage to the wingtip. Then you go, as Ted Fancher would say, one thumb width behind it to start, which is roughly 3/4 of an inch for most people. And then that's where you start. And then you could move it forward or aft if you've got control, you got adjustable lead outs until you get it right. I used to have the problem when I first got back into it, same as you. I get up at 45 and get real light on the lines. It's hard to do any maneuvers up high. And one of the guys says, "Yeah, try moving your lead outs a quarter or an eighth of an inch further forward. Go by eighth of an inch until it gets bad, and then move it back." And so that's what I did. Now I think might be posted on the Stunthangar site, but there's Paul Walker's trim sheets.
On there.
And those are real handy to help you as you're getting back into it. They'll teach you how to get your airplane flying pretty good for you.
Yeah, it's on the Flying Lines website. I could send someone.
Yeah.
Let me welcome in Philip Bailey. Thank you, Phil, for coming in.
Yeah.
And Lynn Burrells is also here, but his video is turned off.
Lynn's almost in the house.
So thank you, Lynn, for coming in.
Hey, Charles, I think that Keith is king of the one-liners.
Yeah, I saw him bring in apparatus there.
Yeah.
If everybody knows about this stuff, I won't talk about it, but if you want to see this, why?
Yeah,
I'd love to see it.
Let Steve get back. Steve stepped away for a second.
I'm here. I'm just putting the tiger shark back together.
Okay, I'll make it big, Keith, and
There you
can
go.
show everybody.
What's
There
that?
you go, Keith.
Yeah, well, this is the old fashioned, well, it's not together now, but the old fashioned online handle. This thing mounts in the side of this. And so this is what you hold on to when you fly. This is, whoops. Bearings kind of hung up here, but this is up and down. I don't know if you can see the twisted wire.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And there, that twisted wire then twists the lines, and it goes up to a control unit. I've got a half a speed unit, but this will show it better. This is the stunt unit, the BC stunt unit. And let's see, yeah. So this mounts in the airplane, and so if you twist the line one way or the other, that's what does the bell crank back and forth.
There you go.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's
At
what
one time, there's $1,000 prize for anybody that won a nationals.
Yeah, it's still in effect too.
yeah,
Is it?
Warwich took a serious attempt at that, and he decided that $1,000 prize was safe.
So what if you did a loop? Would you end up with up trim with every loop till you?
No, well, you could do consecutive loops, but if you get too many loops in the wire, why, all you do is reset the little knob to compensate for the amount of loops that were in there, and away you go again.
Oh, okay. So eventually your arms get too short when you're out there like this.
No, it's easy to do. This is
Okay,
And when you're flying speed, you move about this much.
okay.
If that.
So
It ain't much.
once the
You don't
speed
move
shifts
much.
in the air, you really don't have to do much of anything. You just kind of keep up with it.
Okay.
Well, that's the hard part. So you got,
But after
you got
20
one hand.
inside loops, your little knob's gonna be further and further out or further and further in, one of the two. And eventually you're gonna run out of arm.
They've got
travel.
special handles. They made special handles that strap onto your wrist.
Oh,
Had a gear out here that would
oh,
rotate the wire.
oh my God.
But some guys still use that, and you saw it in FAI, and then FAI speed, they ruled out the monoline. You have to have a 2-line system for the speed event, and FAI F2A speed
Pretty
event.
neat.
But
Wow.
Thanks for showing that, Keith. I was
Yeah.
trying to explain. But I
I'm tickled to
couldn't.
see that. That's the first one I've ever seen. A big
Me,
one.
me too. Yeah.
there's neutral.
Thank you very
and
much, Keith. That's awesome.
there's a spring on this thing, so it's self-centers. So there's neutral and up and down by the way you
Huh.
twist the line.
Wow.
Does that show up? I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Yeah,
neat.
it's very
And,
clear.
Very neat.
For half A speed, same thing, but here you go.
Bit smaller.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Fantastic.
it's just like one turn up, one turn down.
Oh,
And
That is
I've
very
seen
cool.
Dale Kern fly the pattern. His son came to VSC a couple times and he did a demonstration flight, could fly, flew through the pattern. I think you're sort of limited with monoline to trying to do a square loop because you can't go fast enough to do a square loop. And but they could fly 100-foot lines, 150-foot lines, and that was fun to see. That's fun to watch.
Mhm.
And
I-
it doesn't matter if you lose line tension.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about line tension.
Huh.
You just don't want the thing flying through the center of the circle. That's all.
Duck.
Hey, Lynn, thanks for coming in.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Len.
Hey, Lynn,
Hey.
good to see you. Wow.
See,
That
see,
is
that's
wild.
that's interesting. You know,
It is. It's
yeah, it makes the show great, really, right there.
yeah, absolutely. It's really
Yeah.
informative. People don't know how control line started. Initially, it
Yeah.
was monoline.
Well, that thing though that we were saying before, that's different than monoline. Howard, he had the right name for it.
You call
Eli.
it G-line.
G-line, yeah.
G-line.
And it got controlled by how you held the fishing pole up or down, and you're able to get some up and down control with the linkage they had, something on the wingtip, and then that transmitted to an elevator control somehow.
Yeah. I haven't dug the box out, but it really is, I guarantee you that's nothing but directions and words and raw pieces. There's not like anything as clever as what you just showed there in this box. It's more like there's something about cementing and gluing. And I thought, oh my God, think about the days of the Ambroid stuff. And
Yeah. There were all sorts of different ways that people tried to get control on a control line airplane
yeah,
using a bell crank, all the way from having your lines directly tied to the elevators. You went through tubes,
mhm,
tubes in the airplane, so your lines went directly from your handle to the elevator.
kind of makes sense.
That didn't work very good.
Yeah, a lot of the teams were to get around the patent or line that Jim Walker had.
And all the magazine articles that showed the plans, why it says use your favorite control system or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they couldn't even show the bell crank.
No,
You couldn't even what, John?
You couldn't even show a bell crank on the plans. So they just have a box here, say use your favorite control system.
Oh, wow.
Well, I can say that this says it's the world's first control line kit. So it may very well be.
I got one of those
downstairs.
too.
You
So
do?
do I.
I have the plane built plane downstairs. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Wow.
The rotor's the neat part of it though. When you give it, you have a there's a pin comes out the back of the rudder. And whenever you give it up or down, doesn't matter. There's a rubber band that goes from the elevator to that pin on the rudder. And when you give it up or down,
You get more
of course,
right.
the elevator moves further away and the rubber band pulls the rudder in. So you
Okay.
get more rudder when you pull it.
Isn't that called a Raby rudder or something?
Well, it would be now, but it's no linkage to it. Actually, if the rubber band breaks, the rudder just sits there and flaps the
Okay.
whole flight. But
The Raby
Only for-
rudder has a linkage.
yeah, it had a linkage on it. It's positively linked. I think the neatest one I've seen is the one that Keith came up with. That's the coolest one so far. But
Yes.
that old Stanzel Shark, that's a neat airplane. I got a Super Cyclone 60 in the front of this thing, and it's neat. But man, I have the utmost respect for the guys that can make the sparkers work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it at that. I've tried two. I've got that one, and I've got a super duper zilch with another Super Cyclone 60, and that one I got bit with that one 2 or 3 times, and I said, I think maybe I better leave this alone until I get somebody that can teach me how to do this correctly, because all I'm doing is getting hurt. So
I'll tell you
put
what,
that
I
thing-
was thinking about using the electric motor, just having somebody 3D print me a cylinder head sticking out of there so it looked like it has an ignition engine, but it wouldn't actually have an ignition engine.
We've got a guy here that's got a Quaker, I think is the name of it. So it's an old time. It used to be Free Flight, but this one is RC. But he's done that. He's got electric motor that runs it, but he's got a Anderson
cylinder head.
Spitfire 3D printed, and somebody painted this thing, and it looks like it's got oil on it, and it looks. Oh, there you go. There you
Look at
go.
that.
Hey, Dennis,
It is
thanks for
really
coming in,
cool.
Dennis. Appreciate it.
It is really cool. Looks like that, and it's sitting up there. And if you just look at this thing sitting in the pits, you'd think that was what was powering it.
Yeah.
But
There
the
you
only
go.
thing is, when it takes
Cool.
off, it sounds funny. It just sounds like electric, but
Yeah.
it sure looks right.
Yeah.
That's neat, Dennis.
Yeah, I like
We
it.
can't hear you, Dennis. You gotta lower your boom.
Yeah, it's my brother was working on this. It's a 3D printed OS Max 35 cylinder head.
Mhm.
Run the wires into the back. The on-off switch was going to be a button where the glow plug goes.
That's cool.
And
my
the basic
goodness.
arming switch was the muffler.
How about that?
Doggone.
That is very
Oh
cool.
my goodness.
Yeah,
Wow.
it would have been. It was, it would have been a lot of work and everything like that. But he was thinking.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, you Adam Ison's got too many good ideas.
Yeah.
Those guys are all, every darn one of them is.
Now, sometimes it skips.
I don't think I haven't met one that it skipped.
Oh, I have.
You have?
Oh, sure.
Well,
Man.
actually, the rest of the story, Mark, he's only met one Adam Mission. So guess
No, I haven't.
that's the one he's saying skipped. So,
No, I met Dad.
oh, you
It's
did you did meet my dad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's
No,
a
I
great
met-
family. It was just a cheap shot, Dennis.
Yeah, I met 3
What,
of them.
from you?
Yeah.
No. No,
met-
hey, listen, President Stunt Weenie, I have my utmost respect for you as always. You know that.
President Stunt Weenie.
That's right. That's right. I mean, Mike Mike Lonkey called us all a bunch of stunt weenies a couple of nights ago. And since he's the president of Pampa, he's President Stunt Weenie. So,
Well, that's
Tell you what,
I like it, but it's
if
bad.
you're going to be a weenie, you might as well be the president.
There you
yeah,
go.
might as
Yeah.
well be the biggest one, right? So that's it.
Oh,
They used to
pretty
make the
good.
Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles down the road from us here. So,
Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
There's one of them that's parked not too well on display, not too far from here. I remember seeing
Yeah.
that thing drive up and down the road when I was about 5 years old, and I couldn't figure out what the heck was that.
That's about it.
Welcome, Al Fierro. Thanks for coming in, Al.
Hey, Al.
Fast Al is here.
Good.
I was watching on YouTube and I have something to add to the topic.
Alrighty.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, so my friend built this plane. He passed away, and well, and here it is here.
Oh, wow.
Okay, has a I guess an
Hello.
O10 TD on it.
020?
Yeah.
at 10.
Wow.
Oh,
And
10.
I could never understand, as it has no elevator. Okay, but yet it has,
Well, it's around the pylon ratio.
It's a pylon.
it's a, so you're talking about G line. So actually, you know, I did fly this thing with my friend. And of course, we didn't have a fishing pole. We just used like 25 foot of line or 20 foot of line and started up and let it go. And, you know, it start doing, you know, oscillating, you know, going up and down. And, you know, we were just, you know, when it's going down, you pull up, and when it's going up, you pull down. And
Yeah.
it ran the tank out without pressure. We flew it about 5 times and figured, you know, that was long enough.
That is just cute.
That has a
I've
cute little
never
tank.
seen one of those.
Yeah.
So
Never
you
know,
seen
Rob-
one.
if you have a 10-foot fishing pole and 9-foot lines, nothing can go wrong.
That's it.
Al,
So
around here, here at Salt Lake, we have actually a group that flies over inside a warehouse, and those are tethered flyers. They fly around the pole. They've got a pole, and they've got a line. They hook onto it, and they let them go, and they time them for speed. You okay? And then they have little meets with the darn things.
You see, but you know, we did
That
have
is just neat.
we did have successful flights with it. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just really neat.
Mighty Mouse.
No elevator, interesting.
mighty
Mighty Mouse. I like that.
Yeah, we did that too in our club, and Steve Woolley made one. We had just one wing, so it was one wing Ghana, like, you know.
Yeah.
But, just one wing, and it fly around the pylon. All of us had little planes and had a lot of fun in the wintertime.
This thing, it flies surprisingly well. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Just
So.
cute as it can be, a little Vico wheel on it. That's
Yeah,
good.
the little 010 really, it's a little screamer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a mad bumblebee.
You do like 30,000 RPMs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
very cool.
I
Neat.
never knew, you know, couldn't understand the theory behind it until you guys brought up the topic of G line.
Ah,
Yep, I think that's basically it.
That's pretty slick. That's pretty
Yeah.
slick.
Very cool.
All right, so that's
That is.
so
Hmm.
that's it.
Well-
you know.
So Al, you been doing any flying or working in your shop?
I did some flying Sunday. It was really windy though, but flying my ringmaster.
Oh, very cool.
Going out tomorrow and Sunday.
Oh,
Sunday,
wow. Very
Al,
cool.
where do you fly?
Middlesex.
Oh, okay.
Behind the Middlesex High School, we have a field in Mountain View Park.
Okay. Okay.
So no snow, just rain.
Sounds familiar. Wind and rain. Sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
well,
Sunday looks like a nice day here, like, you know, like light winds, but it's supposed to rain at 3 o'clock, and we're usually done by 2 o'clock anyway. So you know, after that, we don't care what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
hey, Charles.
Yeah, John.
If you'll let me share, I'll share that.
Oh, let me fix that. I forgot to do that. Sorry about that.
I mean, if everybody's ready, if they're not ready, go ahead and talk.
We're ready.
No, we're ready now. Hey, go ahead, John.
All right, here we go. Okay, I'll go with the PDF. I do this PDF so I can check, make sure I got my line rates correct. And so I'll zoom in on it. And oftentimes I'll find that I got some really weird things happening line weight wise.
John, is that the new rudder shape?
Yeah,
Okay.
Looks nice.
Took the point off of it. That's pretty neat. 2 degrees.
oh, I changed to this. This is the Epler 169. Epler 169 airfoil. And it's interesting. See, it's straight. It's a straight line from here. Whoops, don't grab it. From here to about here.
Yeah.
but I've used it on a couple other airplanes and it's worked real well for me. So anyway, so that's the airfoil I'm using. But anyway, this is coming along. I got the tail wheel all set in there. Come on, move up.
That's sharp.
That looks really good.
It's a really sharp airplane.
Does look good.
There's all the bending stuff for the tail wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. I'm having trouble grabbing things today.
So you guys mentioned, I heard one of you guys like Seelig airfoils. You guys ever met Michael Seelig?
No, I never met him.
One time. One time. Brilliant
to
guy.
Tell you what, one of the
Brilliant
things that he advocates is that if anybody wants to build a wind tunnel model of an actual wing with his airfoil, he'll be happy to test it for you and show you how it actually does in a real, you know, when you have open covering in places and stuff like that, where, you know, that's why the airfoils are kind of like very subjective. It's kind of like thickness, high point, and beyond that doesn't really matter, because if you're going to build out a balsa wood and you're going to have open structure between the ribs, it's not going to be accurate anywhere except right at the ribs. So it's highly subjective, and the performance predictions do not match the actuals when you actually under real conditions. So he's more than happy to take any kind of real wings and go ahead and test those against his predictions, like from, you know, X-foil and so on, and tell you how it really works.
He's still
Go ahead.
he's still doing that.
He's been doing it for years. I think probably the last time was probably 10 years ago, but he was always willing to do that, to take a real wing and put it in his wind tunnel, and you know, anybody, it's a standing offer to anybody is to be able to test a real wing part made with real construction methods against the theoreticals from the airfoil drag pullers and see how it really turns out. And
Yeah, I'd like to do that to get flap hinge moments.
flap hinge moments.
You
Yeah.
can see here why I do these, to check for my line weights. And for Dennis, you asked about the layers, and I'd forgotten this when we got into discussion of using different layers for different assemblies. The actually preferred way of doing that is to make the assemblies into blocks, and then you can bring the blocks in and assign them to the right places, and that leaves you able to control your line weights on your lines so that you don't look like everything's all one monoline type of a thing.
Looks like you got your fairings
So
need a
it's
little bit of
little
attention.
short.
Well, this is I haven't done a whole lot of work on the top view yet. Okay.
Okay.
But now I'll go back to here. I'm going to bring this one up. Can you see it yet?
No, I see a picture of the fuselage, but I can't see the cursor.
Okay, then that's what I need to do is I'm going to stop share for a minute, and I'll be right back into it. I'm actually sharing the computer screen.
Let me welcome Gordon Delaney. Well, Gordon, thanks for coming
Hey,
in.
Gordo.
Hi, Gordy. How you doing?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is still the update on the Pathfinder 40, the one I flew at the Nats in '95, Gordy.
That's
You
what I
flew-
flew for the warm up.
Yeah, that's it. And I've changed the airfoil to an Epler airfoil. This is what I'm working on the wing right now. Give you an idea what can be done. Here's the here over here are all of the airfoil plots to get all of these. As you can see, I've got rid of some. I'm just using half ribs in between these stations here, and I've increased the rake a little bit there. I read something on it that said that more increased taper there gives you a little more stability in the wind. So I thought that'd be nice. So And I remember watching several designs that are designed with a little bit more rake. This is 2 inches of rake is what it is.
Right. What's that?
This wing here.
What's rake?
Rake? Oh, that's the sweep. Sorry.
Of
Leading edge sweep.
oh. All right.
This is the original wing off of the Pathfinder 40 up here. You see my cursor?
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the new wing here. And I softened up a lot of the lines a lot. Gordy had me do that on his Pathfinder LE too. So, and so anyway, so that's where we're at. These things are all collections of parts that I've collected, and I'm collecting more. I've got a whole bunch I got to go through and for engines and stuff, but it's nice to have them because that's one of the nice things about CAD. All these things are already drawn. I don't have to draw them again. I can just move them in as a block.
If you can find them.
Yeah, if I can find them.
Yeah,
Good point. Good point. I'm with
that.
you. Are you finding yours, Howard?
No.
No.
They do have a tendency to get away, don't they?
Yeah,
Well,
Phil, go ahead, Bill.
Well, I got a question for the group, being as we got a quorum of some what I consider some really smart people here. I have heard for many years. I've heard if you want a plane to fly better in the wind, make the trailing edge slant forward, not the trailing edge of the flap, the wing itself. Then make the flap more of an even, not so much taper, have it more of a equal span, root to
Kind of
chord.
like
Like it was 1 inch the whole way or 1 1/4.
Yeah.
But take a little bit of the sweep out of the leading edge and put it in the trailing edge, or just move the trailing edge forward a little bit, 3/4 of an inch or something, and reshape those ribs. Is there any truth to that, or I don't know?
Well, go ahead, Howard.
I think so. You'd have less rolling moment due to side slip, which make it fly. You can fly it better on different parts of the circle. That was a thing in combat, the forward swept things that the Eastern European guys had. You can fly them all over the circle.
Yeah.
And the constant chord flap, I think would be a virtue because it would hold down flap hinge moment, the aforementioned flap hinge moment, because it's the square of the chord. So
that's a good point.
I'm gonna
Steve,
try.
your mic is muted, Steve.
Okay, here's the definitive answer. All you got to do is walk downwind at the same speed as the wind, and you won't notice the wind.
Well, when it's blowing 30 miles an hour.
Say it was easy.
Joe Gill that, but you want to go a little slower than the wind because you want the wind to blow away the wake, so you don't hit it in consecutive loops.
Okay. Well, listen, I got to shove off here, so I'm going to say thank you for indulging my whims, and I'll see. Probably maybe next Friday. I'm still working on apartments again, but I'm itching to try out my new RC control handle. So
great,
you guys know how it works out. So see you guys later. Thanks.
See you, Steve. Thanks for coming in, Steve.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, Steve. Good to meet you.
Okay.
Yeah, I kept trying to figure out how to beat a problem with one of my own designs. I kept having a problem with. Well, I just have a lot of trouble flying it in the wind. So now I'm trying to build a new one, and I did just what they said. I had 2 1/4 inches of leading edge sweep in it, 60-inch wing, but had 2 1/4 inches of leading edge sweep in it. So I just moved the thing forward to where it's 2 inches of sweep, like most designs, and took that 1/4 inch and then cut another 1/4 inch off the tail. So I got 3/4 of an inch of sweep in the trailing edge, which is about 12 degrees. It's close. somebody told me between 12 and 17 degrees of trailing edge sweep is about what you want. And I don't know, and I don't know if he's right or wrong, but I said, well, he's got more sense than I've got, so I'll try it. He's got better credentials than I've got on this stuff, so I'll try it. So that's what I did. It's got 2 inches leading edge sweep, 3/4 of an inch of forward rake in the trailing edge, and it's got they're not equal span flaps, but they're, instead of being, what was it, an inch and an inch and a half or inch and 3/4, it's now an inch and a quarter. Took most of the span out of it, but not all of it. Most of the sweep out of the trailing edge, but not all of it. And wow, that's a pretty wing, Dennis. What is it?
Oh, this is a Walter Umland Seafire, which is, this part of it, the wing is actually a Sterling Spitfire, except that it's equal span instead of having 2 inches of offset like the Sterling did.
Whoa.
It was actually
Wow.
something that I worked on with Walter. I had a Sterling Spitfire when I first started flying back. I tried to build a duplicate of an airplane my dad built in the 60s. I even built it right down to the K&B greenhead that he had in it. And his didn't run good, very well. You know, it had a tendency to run away, but mine ran really good. And the airplane seemed to handle the wind really well and stuff. But it was always that, what if, you know, gee, it's got such a short tail, it's got all this wing offset and everything like that. What would happen if we just, you know, did it the other way? And I worked with Walter a little bit on that, and said, you know, he was kidding the Seafire or the Spitfire, the Sterling model. I said, gee, Walter, could you make a special one for me? And I told him the things I wanted to do with it, like things like equal span wing and 3 inches more tail moment and stuff like that. And he thought enough of it that he says, gee, I'll just bring this out as an original kit. It won't be, you know, classic legal or anything like that. So of course I got one and framed it up, and it's been ready to cover like this for about for a long time, and I just haven't got around to it yet. But the biggest reason I brought this thing out is you're talking about wind or wings for windy weather. This has got a couple of features I really like. We were talking about elliptical wings here a couple of weeks ago, and I mentioned it, you know, there isn't, just from normal flying and stuff like that, you don't really get a lot out of you know, even a Hershey bar shaped wing will do a pretty good job for you as far as just lifting and things like that. But when you start flying in the wind and getting into turbulent conditions and stuff like that, or a Hershey bar wing is the same width all the way out, which means at the wingtip, it's very wide. All right. And I think one of the things you gain with an elliptical wing is that the wing chords at the tip are very narrow, and there's not a lot of area to act for you know, the air to act on there. So it tends to do a little less of this because there isn't as much area out here for it to push on. You know, the centroid of the wing, you know, normally the mean aerodynamic chord is somewhere, what is it? Just a little farther out than halfway on the chord, not a lot, but on an elliptical wing, it'll tend to be closer, you know, it'll tend to be a little bit closer to the center. So again, it's got a little less moment arm for anything to bend the wing and jostle it around in the wind and stuff like that. As far as just a straight taper wing, I think from flying the swept wings and stuff like that, the swept wings have you know, you get a deep sweep and a leading edge, and it tends to it really aligns well with the airflow, which sounds like a good thing, except when you're going around in a circle, it isn't necessarily so, because it's always trying to align itself, even though you're trying to make it turn. The airplane keeps wanting to straighten itself back out, and it's not a happy situation. It's difficult actually to keep line tension in certain conditions and stuff. If you take a straight taper wing and make it like the Werwidge Juno is a great example. It's a very wide wing in the center, and it comes down to a very narrow tip. Well, if you take that with a straight hinge line and stuff like that, you end up with a lot of sweep in the leading edge. All right. And then so you got that swept wing condition where this thing is always trying to align itself, and it's not necessarily a good thing. So if you bring the trailing edge forward, if you will keep for simplicity's sake, think of keeping the high point of the airfoil basically straight across the wing. So you got a little taper in the front and probably more taper in the back.
Mhm.
All right. Then that's why it ends up with that. Is there a magic angle? Hell no. But I think it's a question of, getting, for the same reasons that the elliptical tip, narrow at the tip is a good idea. On the elliptical wing, I think it's a good idea even on a straight taper wing. But if it's, but it needs to be aligned properly relative to the root cord too. And that's where the sweep and the trailing edge or sweep and the hinge line comes into place. 17, 18, 19 degrees. Heck, I don't know any of that. There's no magic there. But
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about what you've just been saying there, and you've got me thinking, because I've got basically a straight trailing edge,
mhm.
and I've got 2 inches of sweep on it. I wondered if I put a half an inch to 3/4 inches forward sweep on the trailing edge, and take that out of the leading edge, it might actually work out better.
Wouldn't break my heart any. That's all I'll say.
I think it'd work. I think it might, if what I've been told is true, it might handle a little better in the wind. And yes, I would be interested in building one because that's what I'm playing. That's what I'm playing around with now.
Yeah.
And it's also my understanding, and you can correct me on this. One of the books I read on it shows how to. Yeah.
Keep talking. I can hear you.
How to approximate the lift pattern of an elliptical wing, but by using a straight wing or a tapered wing, but by the way you set up your wingtips, can approximate or come. It won't be the exact same, but it approximate the lift distribution of an elliptical wing. And that's what I was trying for with the reverse sweep on the tips, the way that I did it. So there you go.
Smoothie.
Okay, anybody recognize what that is?
Smoothie.
I think Keith would.
Smoothie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is a smoothie that? That's what I got.
It's a smoothie.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the smoothie is a, classic case. It is a dead constant cord wing out to here that they put a tapered flap on, but then the elliptical tip on it subtracts area, in the wingtip area and stuff like that. And this smoothie was allegedly designed as a windy weather answer to, that it outperformed the Chief and the Go Devil and things like that in the wind. All right. And that's what it was designed for. And later on, of course, he elaborated on that. Palmer did. He built the T-Bird, which had a moderate or a mild taper in the wing. And then he built the elliptical tip onto that, but going, after the same thing. Now take a look at airplanes like, his buddy, Ed Southwick.
Yeah.
Had the Skylark, but he also had an airplane called the Lark.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big elliptical wingtip on it. I think, they were sharing ideas, shall we say. I think that they were on the same page. They were trying to cut down the area at the tip. And there was another designer, escapes me at the moment. It seems to be I saw that someplace else in one of the airplanes that
Howard with his Zephyr.
Yeah.
First one was a straight wing, second was elliptical.
Yeah. So
Thinking of Charles Mackey with a couple of his airplanes, Dennis.
Yeah.
I think it was Mackey and Mackey was doing a lot of really neat, full elliptical wings, like his he was doing Spitfires, but he also did his
Starlight,
his Snowbird. Yeah, the Starlight, the
Snowbird.
Snowbird.
That's the one I was trying to think of.
And the Oliver Tiger Stunner. I think that was the Snowbird, wasn't it?
well, he had the
I thought it was, but I don't know.
Hummingbird too.
Yeah, the Hummingbird was
yeah.
an elliptical, but I think all of those guys were trying to get the same thing. They were trying to limit how much area the wind had to act on the wingtips, as with the goal of trying to steady it out. So it wasn't, when you get crosswind and stuff like that, it kind of steadies it out and it doesn't jostle around quite as much. But they were doing things for a reason, even way back then. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
all the
Yeah.
innovation, we're proud of all of our airplanes now and everything like that, but you take a look at some of the old masters, they kind of had it figured out too. So,
Yeah,
they
you
were-
can look up span-wise location of the mean aerodynamic cord.
yeah,
If you do that, though, you ought to weight it for the airspeed difference, namely the square of the airspeed as you go out.
mhm,
That's got to do with the computer.
yeah. If you get too much taper in the wing, you start getting into Reynolds number effects and things like that, and the wingtips just go to hell.
Yeah,
So you
quickly.
don't want the taper to be any more than maybe, the tip should be at least 6/10 what the root is. I think the Juno actually might go a little beyond that, but it sure makes a statement. So,
Well, I'm glad I listened to you guys today.
oh, don't say that, John. Would I lead you wrong? Oh, I mean, Pathfinder has a fair, shall we say, a fair record of success there for over
Well,
what,
Boy, ain't
about
that the
30 or
truth.
40 years.
That's Gordy's.
Ching.
Yeah. So,
But that thing's a Hershey bar wing, I mean,
mhm.
and it's just one of those things that just proves that a Hershey bar wing can perform,
Oh Lord, yeah. At these speeds, at the speeds we fly, that thing's incredible. It does some things that just, it's hard to believe. Because the first time I flew my Pathfinder, I did not expect it to do what it would do. If anybody has never flown a Pathfinder, you owe it to yourself to borrow a flight from somebody or something, because you won't believe how well that little plane flies. It's incredible, but it's so simple and so down to earth. It's got so darn much fuselage, so much what do you call it? So much
side area.
so much. There you go, side area in the front. That everything I ever heard about, the rear's got to be bigger than the front in order to keep it from weather vaning in the wind. Poo-poosh. The thing works in the wind, in the flat. It's one of the better flyers when there's no wind, and that's what got me. There's the Juno. There's the Juno.
Yeah, there we go. Instead of the arm wave, I was trying to describe what Werwich had done with this, and it's actually, I think, an elaboration of what he had done years before with his Aries, and it's got a fairly wide root cord, and that is a feature. I mean, I talked to Billy as late as September of last year, and he was talking about he liked the idea of having a wide center cord as a means of keeping the airplane stable. All right.
Mm-hmm.
He thought the wide cord was important for that, but look at how narrow the wingtip is.
Yeah.
All right, and in part because it's an I-beam and it's a straight I-beam. I mean, you're pretty well committed. You know how much taper you're allowed to have, or how you're going to distribute the taper in that wing. All right, so you end up with a little bit in the leading edge and a lot in the trailing edge. All right.
Yeah.
Well, so he's got a relatively small area at the wingtip for the wind to act on, and so his centroid of area is closer to the fuselage. Excuse me, it's still the normal location. It would be closer to the fuselage. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yes.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Are you familiar with Efflinger's firecracker?
I think that's a great example too. Again, though, the only firecrackers I've seen, they did not. They were almost equal taper, leading and trailing edge, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty close.
I don't like the Magnum.
Yeah. See, I'm not crazy about that layout.
Dennis, what engine is that Juno's spec'd out for?
It was, I
original had a
believe he
46
flew it
in
with a 46.
The original had a 46, yeah.
Like
Pretty airplane, isn't it?
Oh, it was gorgeous. I saw it. Its first contest was the 1970 team trials, and it was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
Hmm?
Which 46, like a VF or like
Super
a
Tiger. Super Tiger.
Oh,
Super Tiger
okay.
46. Of course, it was I think it was who rebuilt his motors back in? Dean Rojas, or I can't remember who it was.
I don't know. You had a lot of people doing it. I believe these pictures were the 79 Nationals. I'm not
Yeah. He flew that plane.
Looks
for
like a
long time.
1980. I can't, it looks like the magazine says 1980 in the bottom there. Let's see.
Yeah, it is. That's what it says.
Yeah, January 1980. I think
I
it's
just,
either
I just couldn't
78,
believe that
79
plane didn't
design.
have a better wind record than what it had. I mean, it was Billy flying, and it was a gorgeous airplane, and it at times it did great, but he said it did funny things in some conditions. It just I don't know. It just never lived up to its potential. I don't know why not. Because it's
Probably
such
those
a pretty.
flaps.
I tell you what, those flaps are a pain to build until you figure it out, and then once you figure it out, there's nothing to it. But I ended up building mine where it shows it just a rib going forward to I think it's a 1/4 inch flap core. Yeah, it is 1/4 inch flap core. I ended up making the leading edge a little. I think I put a 1/16 or 1/8 piece in front that just came back about 1/8 of an inch, and then shaped the leading edge so that it didn't. It took a beating otherwise. I kept getting holes there. So the second iteration of it had a little bit bigger piece of wood in there, and I made the flaps instead of being hollowed out like that. I just built the darn things up.
By the way, you can see we are talking about there we go again. There's the straight flap horn working into the tapered hinge line. It worked just fine. You know, that was the standard. Billy, as long as I've ever seen, has been doing that kind of thing. So
Dennis,
anyway.
Well, there's enough wiggle room there.
I'm sorry, what?
But you talked about a straight flap horn he was using.
Yeah, he's talking about like.
Yeah, that's it. We had been talking about that, and Keith especially has shown he's got airplanes with the swept forward trailing edge with dihedral in them, and they work very well with the single flap horn. Single push rod, single flap horn, which is a great simplification in the control system.
For sure.
And it works just fine. So
that is
cool. When I built my Colossus, I called him a couple times and, are you sure I can use a straight horn on that? And he'd laugh. Cordy, just send straight across there. It'll work just fine.
Yep.
And it did. You know, the Colossus got a lot of sweep in the trailing edge.
Sure as heck it does.
It always flew very well when I saw.
The controls was as smooth as anything else I was building with straight trailing edges.
Wow.
Yep.
Gordy's
Anyhow,
plane
I even
made a
forget
sound.
what the question was and what the discussion was. Phil, I don't know if we
Just
covered all the points you
I
were
tried-
looking for or not.
Yeah, I think it did. I'm going to go ahead and do it after looking at this and remembering this and remembering how that plane flew. I believe I'm going to go ahead and move that trailing edge forward 3/4 of an inch and go for it.
And John, if you want to try something like that, I guarantee, if nothing else, it's going to be an awesome looking shape, wing shape. But
Yeah, I think I've been an angle it forward about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch.
yeah, your the drawing that you shared, you had some extra wing planform shown down in the bottom right. The one that had a lot of taper in the leading edge, I think that one would especially benefit from having, pull the wingtips forward.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
It
That's going
doesn't.
to be neat.
It doesn't take much change as far as the ribs or anything. They're all lofted out already. It's just a matter of, it
Well,
will
when you
change the location of the spars.
Well, I'm still thinking about that twin, John.
Which one?
The only one we've talked about, the Pathfinder twin.
Well,
but I cannot see how it would hurt to have a tapered wing in that twin. I think that could be a neat plane. But I'm gonna do it electric. Do what? Well, I don't need to mess with it, but the thing of it is, I'm already messing with it because I'm gonna change the weight balance all around because I'm building it electric. So what modern motor would you put in that thing? She's putting 2 of them in it. What would you put in that thing?
I have 2 Magnum 36, 15.
No, electric motors.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. So if I could get a hold of the Magnum 36s, I'd already have them because John told me about those in October or something. I started looking for them. I couldn't find them.
Well, you were using 15s, weren't you?
Yeah.
Mine's got 15s,
And what size props? What diameter?
9/4s.
9/4s?
Yep.
All right,
On a
there you go.
15?
Phil, you need that's a big prop. But Phil, pick the electric motor that drives a 9-inch prop. So you can use one of the small frame motors, one of the 2320s, maybe a 2317, Nasty Donkey or Tempest or something like that.
2317, okay.
I was gonna say, the only guy that I know of that I know personally that's built an electric Pathfinder is Dennis.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, the single engine Pathfinder, I was using a 2820 on, and the twin engine used two 2810s. So it literally had the same length of magnets in total for the twin as the single had. All right. And the same diameter motor. All right. And then we started it with 10-inch props and ended up with 9s. The motors were actually, bigger than they needed to be. The airplane could have been lighter and bounced a little better if it had the smaller frame motors in it. And well, we didn't have those motors like those, were not available then either. At least they were probably out there. Just nobody knew where to find them.
Yeah, they weren't dirty donkeys yet. Yeah.
Yeah, the donkeys are, of course, they're available in all different sizes and all different wines, different KVs. So you can, pick them 3, 4, 5 cells, whatever you want to run it on. So
and they're great motors. That's for darn sure.
If your motor,
Dave Sabon built a electric twin Pathfinder,
and
then he gave it to Bob Brooks, and they had a incompatibility with the batteries. I think it was just going through batteries. So, but I haven't seen the plane in a while. But I'm pretty sure either Bob Brooks' son-in-law has it. But it was neat. It was much better than the Glow twin that Dave Sabon had. And later on,
certainly easier to make run.
He gave me that Glow twin, and I was determined to get it to run right, but it was still, I couldn't get the engines to run together.
Yeah, unfortunately, when they start running good, it seems like they try to eat each other alive. So I have no comprehension of how you would make a 4-engine Sunner work. Not that anybody would ever try one of those.
Yeah,
been done.
I don't know. I understand we have the crew chief for that effort on line here, but
yeah,
that's correct. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. It was a sight to see when he brought that thing to the Nats and fired it up.
All I know is when he started on the project, Howard was 26 years old. He's only 35 right now. So
yeah,
that twin is all the difference. So
we'll tell you one thing: those cowling covers that Howard made for that airplane. Paul, I got talking to Paul, and he had to take one off to change a pressure regulator, and he says, "Here, hold this." It startled me. It had no weight.
Yeah.
It just you're sitting there putting your finger through it so you don't lose it, because I was afraid I was going to drop it or crush it. It just didn't weigh anything. He said, "What do you think now?" I said, "I think Howard's a genius."
No, they were cussing me at the time because I made that thing in a silicone mold instead of an aluminum mold, and the bag pressed the carbon weave into the silicone. So it had, they had to. He and Bob Parker finished those things, and they had to put a lot of filler in them again.
Yeah, but he said he was telling me about one instance where he went to change a regulator. That thing had one tank in the middle, like in the Bombay section. And it was interesting watching him fuel it. But he had to change one of those regulators to one of those motors. And he said he laid the cowling down, and when he went to put the thing back together, he couldn't find the cowling. So they looked around. So it was about 100 yards away up against the fence. Good gracious.
That is light.
Yeah, it was light.
Guys, I'm gonna have to say goodnight. I gotta open up the shop tomorrow.
All right. Hey, thanks,
Take it
Al.
easy,
Thanks
Al.
for coming in.
See you as
Appreciate it.
always. Al.
Bye,
I'll
Al.
take care of
Thanks for
yourself,
showing
buddy.
us that Mighty Mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
See ya, Al.
Okay, just to show you a reference. That's a dime.
Let me make you big. One quick second here.
Hmm.
Wow, that is teeny. That's a dime.
That's a dime.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a glow head. If
That's
it's
awesome.
There's a little tiny motor.
Yeah.
That is small. Thank
I've
you.
got 4 of those things in an airplane.
I gotta ask,
Oh, my goodness.
did you hand
Wow.
start that?
What's that?
Did you hand start it?
Yeah, it has a spring.
Oh, okay, okay.
You-
I was gonna say flip crack, flip crack, flip crack. You know?
Yeah.
It has a little spring, a little cheater spring.
All righty.
Is that
All
one
right.
of those tether racers?
Yes.
It
well,
is.
Yeah, there's no elevator.
Yeah, but it's tethered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
round
oh,
the
yeah.
pole.
Yeah, I've got about 3 of those.
Yeah, it flies pretty good. It starts, but if it gets a little windy, it starts to seesaw on you.
Yeah, we have ours indoors.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, you know,
So ours are 020s. And I
right.
have one
Wow.
Yeah, this is a 10.
Yeah, the 020, I set a record with it back in the late 60s. And it took me till about 2 years ago to beat my own record.
Hmm.
All right, guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Al.
Yeah.
See
Yeah.
ya.
I'll see you,
Al.
We have a couple people in the chat
Friday,
box
Al.
that commented. Ed Carlisle says, like sent. Thank you, Edward Carlisle. Thank you. And then Brent Williams says, howdy, guys. Howdy,
Howdy,
Brent.
Brent.
And howdy, Ed
Right.
Carlisle. Thank you.
Brent, you need to come in here one night.
Yeah. Yeah. Brent's been sharing some information with me on these battery end caps. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah, I
I
want.
need to- Go ahead.
What was that, Howard?
Oh, I have things to show Brent and talk about.
Okay.
But well, not necessarily here taking up other people's time, but
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that rascal, it went away on me.
Well, I guess the ones that built the planes and designed and changed and they did a lot for the hobby.
Yeah.
And didn't
It's
stick with just
amazing
one thing.
innovation.
Everybody wanted to get better. So
True. I meant to ask you, Lynn, and Dennis, did you guys do any flying or anything like that? You flew some, Lynn?
No,
No, okay.
no flying here.
How about working in the
Dennis,
shop? Did you do anything in
What's
the
the matter? A
shop?
little bit.
There we
little
go.
ice comes up?
This is my night for showing off wings. I had 3/4 of the span last Monday, and now I have 4/4 of the span.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Still got that damn nasty warp in it.
oh golly.
Golly.
Yeah, I have kind of roughed out the wingtips and stuff, but I plan on roughing them into shape and stuff before I put them on to the, to shape them and stuff. So at any rate, progress is being made. I had to set it aside earlier this week because I was working on that documentation project that I mentioned. We got it sent out this morning actually to a bunch of people, and we got what we think is a draft of a pretty good start on some new ideas on the old time stunt event, and hopefully
Can you give us
hopefully
an
we'll get
idea?
some hopefully the people we've sent it to will agree that it's a good step, or tell us to stop working as the case may be.
Can I get a copy of it? I'd love to see it.
Can I sit on it for just a little bit?
Sure.
Hell, I can send it to. There's no reason you can't see it. It's
love
you fly old time. So
Yes, sir. That's all
Yeah.
I flew for about 20 years.
yeah. It's still a little rough and stuff like that, but we're just trying to take all the old time rules and really bring them together and make it a little more cohesive than what we've had to work with in the past. So
Sounds good to me.
That'd be a nice handout at Muncie this summer if we could get it to that point.
Well, I'm hoping we can get it of course, here I am fueled by my boundless optimism. I'm hoping we can get it in a state that Jim Hoffman can use it this March at BSC. So
Okay, great.
that could be a real, shall we say, a wet dream to get that far, get it that far. But I think it's we could get there from here, I think. Any rate,
Worth a try. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained. That's for darn sure.
Well, that's it. It's like I say, worst case, they will, when they see me show up for old time, they're going to tell me to go home or something like that. We don't want your kind around here. So
I mentioned to a couple of my locals that I'm thinking about building 2 Madman 56s. One will have, it originally was gonna have a Fox 59 in it. Now it looks like it might have a Super Tiger 46, because I think the 59 might be just way more power than that airplane needs. But the other one looks like it's gonna have one of these funny motors in the front of it.
Yeah, all right.
One of these just goes.
One of those dark siders.
That's it.
All right.
I mean, Bob Hunt was one of the holdouts. He said that he was going to go with an Aero Tiger in his plane he's taking to VSC because, it needed to stay true to form and use a glow engine. Well, last year an electric won it, so he's going electric now. Well, I don't know if an electric's won an old time yet or not, but I see no reason to try.
Well, I flew an electric in old time last year. I don't know how many other people have ever done it or anything like that, but I thought they treated me more than fairly with it and everything like that. I mean, I fully understand, and there are people who are not entirely happy with it or anything like that, but they did not.
Well, they're not going to be.
They treat it, it's the sad reality is that you can't buy a glow engine right now for all intents and purposes, unless you're going to run engines you find off eBay. It's really, really sad, for anybody coming in new and stuff like that. Yeah. Get a 35, get a 40. I mean, you can't find one. Simple as that.
But you can put an electric in it and make it work.
Yeah.
And your big stunt wing is the impetus of me wanting to try electric old time.
Yeah.
That thing just blew my mind.
Yeah. Well,
I still want to know how you hang on to that thing, Dennis. That was cool.
By the way, back to your Fox 59 as near as I can tell, people with Fox 59s were using 11-inch props, like 11.6s or 11.7s and stuff, trying to keep, 7 pitch. They try to run them a little slower and try to keep them cool and stuff. Well, since you've learned how to keep them cool, you can put anything you want on it. I'm not sure a Fox 59 is any stronger than a Tiger 46. I mean, not leaps and bounds.
I may go ahead and put the 59 in it because the formers are made and then were made around the Fox 59. And I happen to have a Fox 59 downstairs. It's George Aldrich built the motor. Your dad built 2 mufflers for it, 1 tube and 1 tongue. And it wasn't hard to figure out who made the tube because your dad's tubes didn't look like anybody else's tubes. And besides, I've got the letter from George. And the other motor is, one's built for the tube motor, one's built for the tongue motor. But George built both the motors, but your dad had a hand in both of them. I don't know exactly how. I'd have to read the letter again. But those motors, I've had 2 people try to offer me a little bit of money for those motors. They ain't going nowhere.
Well,
That's 2 guys that I really respected in the hobby, and both of them decided I needed these motors for this airplane when I told them what I was going to do. So that's where it's going.
Well, in the Fox 59, it was both they had a steel lap piston version and an aluminum ring piston version. Yeah. I don't know. I'm guessing it was the ring version was like a 9-ounce or 9.5-ounce motor, which is the same weight as a Tiger 46.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So, and besides, Phil, it'll be your chance to, fly it with an open stack and get back at that, whoever that was that made you launch his Fox 59 with the upright engine in the open stack, right?
He's gone. That was Rusty.
Yeah.
Rusty Brown.
Okay. Well, you could bring on a new generation of saying, what the heck is that?
Yeah, I'm telling you what. The problem with that deal is you only get them to launch it one time.
Well, that's it. That's true.
That is
That's
the
true.
loudest,
That
and
could be a problem getting it past that, getting them past that first launch. Yes.
we had a guy here that everybody knows him. He's the guy that designed the Teosaki, and he loved greenheads.
Mhm.
Well, he came out to the field with an All-American senior with a greenhead and asked me to launch that thing. And as soon as I let go of it, I just rolled back the grass and put my fingers in my ears. And Tom Looper's at the bottom of the hill just laughing. He's already got his fingers in his ears. Well, now Tom has to have hearing aids. But golly, many more launches of that thing, I'd had to have them too. The greenheads just have a piercing sound to them, just hurts.
Yeah,
And
they
a
have a
Fox-
kind of a bark to them. Yeah.
and a Fox 59 with no muffler is not as bad as that one. I remember that one being worse, but Rusty took his time walking out to the handle. Rusty didn't get
That
the big
didn't help.
hurry. No, it didn't. And I'm telling you what, by the time I let go of that thing, I said, never, ever, ever again. And I love 59s, but that's nuts. Wow, that thing was loud.
Let me interrupt you guys. Let me interrupt. We invited Brent Williams to come in, and so
Hey, all
I want to at
right.
least say, hey, Brent, thanks
Brent,
for coming
how's
in.
it
I
live?
appreciate it. And what's going on with you, Brent?
Oh, just changing an alternator on my car tomorrow. So
Oh, what kind of
I've
car?
been working on the end cap things.
Let me make you big, Brent. 1 second. Let me make you
Good
big.
deal.
And let's see here. Spotlight for everyone. There we go. All right.
So
Brett,
These are
how
some of the-
tall are the batteries?
well, this is a
4 cells.
press pack
Oh gosh, they're bigger than I thought they were.
with the end cap, and I can tell you.
Are they lighter or are they? It's about
So-
as big as it.
For you as well. So this is 3. It's just under 3.2 inches long, like 3.18. And then obviously it's square. So with the end caps are about 1 7/8 inches. So it's about 1 7/8 inches.
Inch and 7/8.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
No,
Okay.
That'll work.
100 milliamp hours. Come on.
Have any idea what they weigh?
Oh,
You reckon
yeah.
it's lighter? You reckon it's lighter than the
It's lighter than the 6S 2600.
it's almost okay. If it's lighter than the Thunder Power 4 cell 2800s, then I got to have a couple of them. Try to save some weight in front of that Nobler.
Okay, so this is that's a 4S 2800 Thunder Power.
That's exactly what I run right there.
Okay. Let me rev up the old scale here. That weighs 8.7 ounces for 2,800 milliamp hours at 4S. And this one, this 4S 4200, that doesn't have the balance leads or the other stuff on it, so it'll gain a little weight from here. This one weighs 9.7 ounces.
Okay.
That's a little heavier.
Well, to
Not
put
yet.
that in perspective, I'm using the 4 cell 3500, the Vant battery from Brodak. It's a 10-ounce battery, and it's that's a 3500. It's probably more directly comparable to what Brent has right there. His is a 4200 instead of 35, so it's still what, a fifth bigger, and it's it'll be the same weight. So that's not a bad trade. Plus it's what, 3.7 inches, I think you said. I think the Vant is 4 1/4. So it's about a 1/2 inch shorter.
Yeah,
That gets the weight.
you know, it's 3.18 in length.
3.18. Okay, so that's like a full inch shorter. So
So here's a balance lead. Let's add that to the weight. There's a 4S balance lead, full length. So that brings the weight up. Oh, it's so slippery. Okay. All right. With the balance lead, that brought it up to 10 ounces total, and then a length of
yeah,
12
the main
wire.
power lead might be a similar weight gain. So yeah,
So-
maybe more. So,
But anyhow, it's, I figure if you budget for 10.5 ounces, you'd be really, really good. And then if you built them without the end caps, they would weigh 1/2 ounce less. But you're talking a 10.5 ounce battery that's a 4,200 milliamp hour battery. So, that's a lot of power, a lot of capacity. So,
hey, Phil, you need to check out, are you, or Brent, are you doing anything with the 2,800, Lions?
yeah, I've got some,
That would be more like what, Phil's talking about.
so, well, I'll just weigh 4 of them. So. Gives me an excuse to open a box of lithium ion. So,
I still like to talk to you about some of the 3-cell packs too, like we talked about, the 3 and, and 2-cell.
The only downside to 3-cell is the amp draw, and that's, but you plan around that with a bigger ESC. So
well, it's not that big a deal. We used to use 35 and 45 amp ESCs when we started off at 3 amp systems, and not knowing where we were going, we went to 4s and we just kept the same ESCs because it didn't hurt anything. But if you're going to run a very big power system, then that might be a problem. But heck, even then, I put a 60 amp in my my big airplane, and that's way oversized. So,
all right. So 4 of the 2800s weighs 6.3 ounces.
Oh gosh.
So now we add a balance lead, and unfortunately so that brought it up to 6.5. And then, so, by the time you add the rest of it, you're probably just over 7 ounces.
Yeah, but against 8.7, you're still saving 1.5 ounces.
Yep. You're going to break even on capacity, and you're going to have a lighter, smaller package. That ain't a bad trade. So
no, it ain't. It's gonna be deeper. You'll be able to set it back an inch further. So
exactly.
I definitely want a couple of those to try. If it works, I might have to order a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's a whole new era, so we'll see. It's a salad, so it's just whether people are willing to try it. That's
what do you think they'll run a pack, Brent? Yeah.
Well, really, the best thing is if you can solder, you can make these yourself. That's the cool thing.
I can solder.
So like with using, I'm sure you guys are familiar with desoldering braid.
Oh yeah.
So this is desoldering braid. This is
that's what you use to link them.
So that's it'll solder so quick. If you've ever used soldering braid, you know how fast it wicks solder. So
oh yeah.
You get on and off real quick, and you don't necessarily need a spot welding system. You just need a hot iron and to get to all your ducks in a row and get on and off the thing quick.
Yeah.
The amp capacity, the ampacity of this is one little strip of this is good for about 30 amps. So that's got its compelling reasons to try that out versus nickel strips. So plus it makes the DIY thing pretty neat, is that if you got a soldering iron and you're not a nitwit, you can get stuff done. This is that 2S 4200.
That's great.
So
that's a 42, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
So something like this you could power a lot of ringmasters with stuff like this. And this pack, if you made it yourself, you could make this pack for $14.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I like Dennis's idea of building a pack into the fuselage of a profile.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's basically the same thickness as a profile fuselage. I mean, what the hell?
Igor used to do that with his plane. Basically, he'd just turn the plane upside down and recharge it. So.
Hey, Brent, are you selling the end caps and stuff like that, or?
Well, I might. I'm still trying to get my printer situation figured out and determine which material I want. So this first batch I made of them, so all of these are just standard grade PLA material, and it prints really nice. But PLA can get soft when it's heated. which may or may not matter. You know, if this stuff is stuck onto the battery and if this gets soft, it really doesn't matter, I think, you know, because it's, if I were making these for myself when I was assembling, if I were to assemble them, I'd take just a little tiny dribble of hot glue on each one just to make sure nothing moves. And then I wouldn't like coat the whole, I wouldn't put a bead around the whole thing. I just put 2 little dabs top and bottom to keep it there. And then if they softened from high heat, I really don't think it would matter a bit, you know, because it's, you're not, there's nothing you're asking of it. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
So I bought some PLA Plus, which is a higher grade material, and unfortunately it didn't print as well. So I paid $40 for a big roll of this stuff, and I don't like how it turned out. So I got to get that figured out. And then I don't know if I'll try some PET G or ABS would be nice, but it stinks. And my wife is intolerant of things that don't smell good. So, and then it's cold here. So it's like, if I did ABS, I'd have to build a heat box or something for the unit because it's, you know, the 20-degree garage.
If you want some samples, I can just send me the file and I can make you some from ABS.
Yeah, I might do that. We've got the 4S file is done for the 4200s and the 2S file is done for the 4200s. My son's working on the 3S 4200 right now. And then I need him to finish up, get him going on the 2800 milliamp, you know, the 18650 cells. So it's nice having a teenage son who's clever with this stuff. So
yeah.
I made a mock-up of a 2x3 18650. So I've been putting it in the airplanes and seeing how far forward I get it.
that drawing you sent me, Howard, is that just a spacer unit or is the whole thing enclosed or what?
What drawing? I don't remember.
You sent me a 3x2 STL file.
Oh, that must be this.
Okay, so Howard, that's like basically a mock-up of the finished pack then, right?
That's right.
So that makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense. It's a mock-up. Okay.
Okay.
I was wondering how you were putting the pack together. I'm like, that looks like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. So.
There's a little space between the cells.
Not to, I suppose this is a little out of place, and I apologize to Brent, but I got these from Dave Rigotti. He's making up the ones for the
18650s.
18650s.
Yeah, I shamelessly copied his design. I had to draw it all from scratch for the 4200s, but it's his design. So
well, I mean, you know, how I don't know how many different ways you can design, you know, round end caps and stuff like that. But but he sells a little kit with the end caps and pieces of braid. Yeah. All right. And just add cells, just add batteries, right? So I got 4 cells worth, and that's going to be let's see, old story go. I need batteries and I still need my wires and stuff, but the old story goes, I'm just 2 people away from a threesome here. So
yeah.
Those I got the balance connectors on AliExpress. It takes a couple weeks for them to show up. They're nice 22 gauge silicone wire, so that's nice. Some of the balance leads you find out there, you have to look at them and see what gauge of wire is being used on them, because some of them come with like 26 gauge stuff, and I didn't want to use anything that small because we touch this every time we charge it. You know, it's got to be plugged in and in and out and in and out and in and out, and I want something with a little bit nicer wire, you know, flexible silicone wire. So anyway, they're cheap, man. You can get, I can't remember the price. Charles, you probably remember. It's just super cheap for these. It's like $2 or $8.
Yeah, I don't remember what I paid for. I don't remember. The $12 maybe. I don't know, or less. I don't know. I remember.
Yeah,
if you parallel charge the battery, then you wouldn't catch a failure. You'd be charging them for a long time before you notice that you got a bad wire.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of fun. The lithium ion thing, it's just kind of a fun thing for a hobbyist to be able to have a hand in that part of, because the battery is always something that you outsource to somebody else. You just bought it from a battery company. And
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
the one of the problems with the LiPos, the way they're made and stuff like that, I don't think they're necessarily do-it-yourself friendly as far as adding,
No.
changing balance leads or putting
No.
power leads on them or stuff like that. Don't you have to weld to aluminum tabs or something like that?
Let's see here. I got a show and tell for the
Make them big.
all right. So, in talking about planes for beginners entering the hobby, there's the old Yuki,
Mm-hmm.
If you guys remember the Yuki, that's the body on these was made out of not spruce, but not pine, but one of those.
A bass?
No, it's not bass. It's like pine.
Poplar.
It's not poplar. It's
Cedar.
Cedar. Yep. It's a cedar fuselage.
All right.
And foam wing. And, this is a 48-inch wing. So it's kind of high aspect ratio. So, it would fly. It's double tapered.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of these things that are good things. It's a nice airfoil.
No, it's not.
Enough that you don't care about it. The controls are external. So it's like there's been this talk of what's a good plane to get people build it, get into the hobby. This, as it sits, only weighs 19 ounces. So,
Mm-hmm.
16 ounces with a heavy wheel on it, so.
Mm-hmm.
What motor you run on that one?
This had a Fox 35 on it, and I gave that to my brother. So, anyway,
We have
like
a couple. We have a fellow local runs one of those on a 20 with a.
what's going to go on this?
20.
This is going to get a badass 2320 1860 kV, and I'm going to power it with these 2-cell. It's going to get 2-cell 4200s, and it's going to sit stuff like
that'd
that.
Be neat. That'd be neat.
Or I'll make a cage and sit it this way. Maybe I'll get a cage, or maybe this will go on this side. I don't know, but I'm going to put the small frame 23 millimeter motor on it and the high KV and just test it out, because it's an inexpensive combo. That's the deal. Is this is a battery that a person could build at home, and a ugly trainer that crashes well, but is leagues better than a Ringmaster.
I don't know about that.
I think so. So, a Ringmaster isn't that great of a plane. It just isn't. It's like if you have a light one, they're grand, but you're flying a heavy one, they just suck. And if you come up to our altitude, they suck even worse. And that's hard words for the Ringmaster lovers out there, but they're.
Have you flown that Yuki much?
No, I haven't really flown that, but I've got
it's got dip there where the spars
it's
don't fit the slots, and that makes it fly pretty poorly.
This is the main thing is it's like the combat. Any good foam wing combat derivative is a good place to start.
A lot there.
What's that?
That looks a lot better.
Yeah.
The spars fit the slot.
Yep. So this is, I think this is one of Gordon's designs. It's a foam wing Challenger type thing, or a foam wing Saturn or something. That Raw Alva.
Yeah. Is that a straight leading edge or tapered?
Tapered.
I think Challenger were all straight leading edge.
Yeah.
So
wow,
might be what this last one's.
This one's had a round bladder compartment. So would that have been a pacifier? Is that
pacifier? Yeah.
So I had a different battery setup that I was going to put in there. You can see where I started chopping at it, but this will get something like that as well. So should be fun. It's nice airfoil. It should fly well, you know.
Mhm.
So,
Very cool.
Tailhead,
Yeah.
well,
I learned the
there.
pattern on foam stuff, and they're ugly, and I crashed the heck out of them. But crashes were inconveniences, not catastrophes. So that's like, from what I've heard, this Yuki design wasn't the most crashable design. Like Phil Cartier's stuff was a little more crashable because you could replace the whole wing. And,
Yeah.
I'm just talking in general, you know, foam is so forgiving and easy, and I don't know, it's something like this, just about anyone could build and start flying, I think. I don't know.
Mhm. Let me interrupt. Let me just welcome
easy to fly.
Stephen McBride and
Oh,
welcome
Steve.
Steve Hines. Thank you very much, you guys, for coming in.
So anyhow, that's the Yuki and planes like that. So it's like you could have a plane like this with with a good electric setup would only be, you know, about 25 ounces. So that's a pretty good
Thank you,
flying
Mark.
plane.
Hi, Mark.
Take care, Mark.
Thanks for coming in, Mark. Mark has to go. He'll see us maybe Monday.
See you
See you,
guys.
Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Oh,
Hi, Mark.
Brent, are you welding your cells together? Are you,
well,
Yep.
I have both. I have a K-weld spot welder.
Yeah, you talked about getting the high suit spot welder, and then you also talked about using the sun.
So I had a nice Sunco, but I think it's an axiom that any first purchase in a new hobby has to be a mistake.
Mhm.
So I purchased a Sunco spot welder that was actually a 220 unit, but it had a 110 plug on it, and I don't know. I got it at these people had bought it from like an Amazon auction place, you know, like a shipping.
Mm,
Or somebody's got it wrong and send it back.
So yeah, it showed up locally on my Facebook marketplace, and I'm like, what are the odds? Sweet. So I bebop over there and buy it, bring it home and try and plug it in. I'm like, it doesn't even turn on. I'm like, what in the world? So I found a kid locally that wanted it. So anyway, then I got the K-weld unit, which is really nice, but I'm really enamored by the idea of the copper, those copper braid things. And so, and it's an interesting thing that I don't know how many amps, it's like, I don't have the electrical knowledge to see how many amps are being drawn across something, if the lower ampacity of nickel strips matters all that much, you know, because a nickel strip is good for about 6 amps before they get hot. You know, you're losing voltage and stuff in the heat. But I don't know if it matters, because I've got 8 batteries from Dane Martin that were done with nickel strips, and they work great. So I wish I knew if it mattered all that much, or if
Right. Let me show what Steve is holding up before before he loses his grip and drops because it's so heavy, right?
That's a new spot welder,
oh my.
and I got rid of the battery. I went with the capacitor type, and this thing works really good. So I figured if I didn't use it for a while, I didn't have to worry about discharging batteries, or some say keep them charged, some say halfway. So I got this one. It works good. The only thing is you have to discharge this one when you're done with it. But it's easy. You just pull out the cables and turn it upside down. It's got the pads on this side. You turn it upside down, little light comes on, it goes out, you're done discharging it. So
So
you
is
don't,
it powering, do you use a power supply?
All
with that?
electricity runs out the holes, huh?
yeah, I use a power supply with this. So it's 110. I was watching videos and stuff about these other ones getting hot and stuff like this. So I just decided to do a test. I don't know how many welds I did there, but that would be more than the battery packs I'd ever do. And it doesn't get hot at all.
So what were you welding together? It looks like a soup can lid or something. Is it-
Yeah, soup can lid, because I wanted something, you know, really hard, and then 0.15
Is it pure nickel or nickel plated steel?
nickel plated steel.
So that works really good because all of those welders work on the principle of resistance welding,
Yeah.
and nickel plated steel has quite a bit of resistance. So the better the conductor, the more difficult it is to spot weld. It's like if you get towards copper and stuff like that, oftentimes the spot weld copper guys will take like a 0.15 copper, and they'll put some of that nickel plated steel on top of the copper and spot weld to that to create enough resistance to spot weld the copper to the battery. So
This says this will do pure nickel, it'll do copper, you got different settings in there.
wow, that's cool.
So I haven't tried it with copper because I don't have any. But yeah, that seems to work good so far. Works a whole lot better than the last one I had.
What did
How
you have
many
previously?
spots would you need per cell, you think?
I see that most of them come with 4, but I'm thinking, you know, you could get like 8 in there. And to me, you know, but I don't know what I did with it. I also bought some solder paste. And what I'm thinking is that no matter if it's copper or the nickel, I'm going to put the piece of metal on and then over the battery. And my plan is to tack it back here, bring this up, put a little soldering paste under that, and then solder it. And I figure copper will work, you know, good too. But the big thing is that trying to solder when stuff moves all around. So the tack is going to be more for holding everything in place and then going back in there and soldering as I go. So that's
Belt
my
and
plan.
suspenders and duct tape.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing I had was, you know, trying to put the heat to it, put the solder to it and all that kind of stuff. So this way it's just going to be, it'll be there, lay it down on top of the solder, and it should even draw in through the whole top. And only thing that'll be welded then is just some 2 little points, and everything else will be soldered. So that's my plan. When I get more time and get more stuff, I'm gonna try that.
If you could tack it with a welder and then solder the wires on.
Yeah, you're going to solder no matter what a little bit, because you've got to solder the balance leads on, you've got to solder the actual lead on. So
Yeah, the power
there's
lead.
there's no getting around that you need a hot iron. So you got to have a good one. You know, like this is one of my 80-watt wellers, and I've got a 100-watter. And then I've got a nice soldering station, but the soldering station's only like 40 watts or something like that.
40
So,
watts, just like mine, yeah.
you know, for stuff like this, there's nothing like having that much energy. You know, all that hot is stored in that tip. So that's a big mamma jamma of a tip on there. That's a big tip.
I was trying to patch a tank that broke at the Nationals, and a buddy of mine got, if you think that's a big one, because that's what I've got too. I got a buddy that's got one. The head is about as big as that cookie pack. And it was his grandfather's. It was for soldering water pipes together. Who in the heck does water pipes with an electric soldering iron? But anyway,
Hey
this
Steve,
thing you
how
get
much
hot though, I
is
can attest to 2 hours later it's still hot and you've unplugged it.
Yeah.
Steve, how much was that unit that you bought, the welder?
160 something. So it's a little pricey, but you know, we're doing batteries. But man, I got looking at that other one I got, and if the batteries went bad, you'd have to cut it open. There was no screws to get into it to change out the batteries on it. So I did the capacitor one. They do make a smaller one of this, but they were out of them, and I was gonna go with that one. That was only like $120, but it'll also, go up that high. But this one's supposed to be, you can weld constantly for 12 hours and it won't overheat.
Wow.
I don't know if you went 13 hours, it didn't overheat, but
I like the idea of Brent's with a constant energy per.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's really hot. That means you can get on and off, and especially if you tin both surfaces first.
Oh, I'm talking about your welder.
Oh, the K-weld unit.
Yeah.
That's
they
very
do
nice.
make a professional welder. I got the gun, and that's 200 watts. Talk about something that'll get hot. That thing will pour the coal to that tip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have one of those 200, 250 watt welder.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's 9:04 out here. I'm going to end the live stream. We can continue on into the after party. I want to thank everybody for coming in and tuning in, and our audience. We'll be back Monday. Hopefully you have a chance to work in your shop or do some flying and come back and tell us all about it. So until then,